The Nintendo 3DS was a pretty great system. After a rocky start in 2011, the system played host to numerous games that will go down as unforgettable classics. From original titles like Super Mario 3D Land, The Legend of Zelda Link Between Worlds, Bravely Default, to remakes of games like Ocarina of Time 3D, Star Fox 64 3D, Dragon Quest 7, 8, and more. There are really a ton of amazing games on the system. There were, however, a few pretty high-profile games that did not see life outside of Japan. Danny from the Famicast here, and this is our list of the top 5 Japan-only 3DS games that the West kind of missed out on. Number 5, Dragon Quest X Online. Having the ability to play one of the most popular online MMOs in Japan on the go is kind of a novelty. Obviously, with the game being online, you will need to have a persistent internet connection. Not just because of playing online with friends, but because the game is actually possible on the 3DS because it's actually streaming from the cloud. The same team, a company called Ubitus, that brought Resident Evil 7 and Assassin's Creed Odyssey to the Switch via the cloud, were responsible for Dragon Quest X on Nintendo's handheld. Released in 2014, this version was compatible with all other versions of the game, at that time on the Wii, Wii U, and PC. It offered all the same things that could be found on the other platforms, and despite some technical hiccups early on, this was another valid way to be able to get into the MMO. While there are clearly better ways to play the game, it was definitely a cool addition to the 3DS library. Number 4, Time Travelers. Level 5 went ham on the 3DS by releasing a number of different games and series that proved pretty popular with gamers in Japan, and in some cases all over the world. Now, as interesting as Time Travelers was on the 3DS, and also Vita and PSP, the game never really took off like the company had hoped. Released originally in the summer of 2012, this visual novel/adventure game puts players in the role of Mikoto Shindo. During this catastrophic event that happened in-game in 2013 that nearly destroyed all of central Tokyo and killed a ton of people, this game takes place years afterwards in 2031. Shindo has to use a time travel ability to prevent another upcoming disaster from crushing Tokyo once again. With the music composed by Hideki Sakamoto, responsible for music in Smash Bros. For Wii U, 3DS, and Ultimate, and this ensemble voice acting cast, the game really is something special. While the game did score highly in Japanese gaming magazine Famitsu, got a 36 out of 40 from their viewers, the sales figures and just everything else just wasn't enough to garner a release outside of Japan. Number 3, Digoxin Sai Bong, aka The Great Ace Attorney. Although the series originally started out on the Game Boy Advance in Japan, the Ace Attorney series has a pretty strong connection to the DS. Sure, it's true that not every title from the GBA and DS made it over to the West, but for the most part, the series has a pretty great representation in Western markets. Enter Digoxin Sai Bong, aka Grace Attorney, which hit store shelves in July 2015. It's a different take on the established games with a different setting and different characters. This time around, the game takes place in the 19th century and focuses on Ryunosuke Naruhodo, an ancestor of Phoenix Wright. The game has players both in Japan and England, following Ryunosuke as he tries to become a defense attorney. You meet characters like Sherlock Holmes, John Watson's daughter, and of course all sorts of other crazy kind of characters that you would come across in the series. As of right now, Capcom is aware that there are quite a few gamers in the West that would love to see the game localized. Unfortunately, quote-unquote circumstances are getting in the way of that, whatever that means. At any rate, Capcom is still plugging away with the side series in Japan. The sequel released on 3DS in August 2017. Number 2, Daigaso Band Brothers P. Now, the Band Brothers series has a bit of a weird relationship with the West. The first game of the series appeared on the DS in Japan as a launch title for the system back in 2004. A sequel was put into production and released in 2008 in Japan, and then later in 2010 in Europe as Jam with the Band. Now, interestingly enough, this title never saw a release in the North American market. Fast forward to late 2013, and here comes Daigaso Band Brothers P, the latest release in this music series on the 3DS. Now, this version of the game doesn't come packed with a lineup of songs right out of the box. However, there are tons of songs that you could download and play. Up to 3,000 songs can be downloaded to you, giving you tons of content. Not only that, but players are also able to create their own tracks and share them with others. Online play is also an option here. Oddly enough, after all of these years, the game still gets some recognition as Barbara, this bat-like girl character, often does collaborations with Nintendo titles such as WarioWare Gold and such. Sometimes you'll see this on Nintendo's Japanese website. But When it comes down to it, Band Brothers P is a must-own. But just make sure if you pick it up before the servers go down and all the music's gone. Otherwise, there's not going to be much to do. Number 1, X-Troopers. If you're itching for a third-person shooter on a handheld, look no further than X-Troopers. Originally released on the 3DS on November 22nd, 2012, and later to the PS3 in January 2013, the game is set in the Lost Planet universe. Players take control of the main character Bren as he makes his way across a variety of locales, taking out monsters and other baddies. Combat focuses mainly on gunplay, however some elements of melee combat also make their way into the game. The game also features a local multiplayer component. Online play is only found in the PS3 version. And the local multiplayer, this allows for up to 3 players to play co-op and 6 players to duke it out in this team deathmatch or a capture the flag style mode. It kind of goes without saying from screenshots and or videos, but X-Trooper sports a very clean, cel-shaded look. It's also full of quite a few cutscenes and voice acting. It's also super anime Japanese as hell. Now, probably the biggest reason why we never saw it come to the West had to do with how the game was actually made. So for the speech bubbles and the text, all of this stuff was hard-coded into the game. So basically the text was an art asset. So while localization of this would be possible, they would have had to make some significant changes to make the game work for the West. Changes that Capcom was just not willing to throw down the cash for. It's certainly a bummer that X-Troopers never left Japanese shores, but despite the Japanese, it's not that difficult to get into and can be had for relatively cheap. And there you have it, the top 5 Japan-only Nintendo 3DS games, according to me. What do you think? Was there anything that we missed? Sound off in the comments below and let your voice be heard. As always, thank you for checking out this video. If you like what you see, please consider giving us a like. If you're new to the channel, please feel free to subscribe. We got tons of podcasts, video reviews, special videos, and a whole lot more. Again, this has been Danny from the Famicast. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you later.